everyone and welcome to another exciting interview today. We've got the one and only, you might know him from Naruto, you might know him from Shippuden even, Mr. Pervy Sage, that is the one. So let's go into the massive interview with one of the scariest cavalry players in Server 2. Hello everyone, yes, we're here with Pervy Sage, the main culprit in Server 2 and multiple different seasons of farm killing. This guy, arguably on live stream, being the number one person we've always been spectating and watching, rocking early days, the 3 to 4, even 5-man cavalry march. Pervy Sage, how are you doing? Do you want to showcase everyone what you're all about?
Thank you for the introduction, Sneaky. This is your boy, Pervy Sage. So tell me, what do you want to know?
So, what did you, when you first played COD, what made you actually go 5 cav? Because that is the one thing I've noticed you rocked the most out of like this season and like last season you was running even like I think like 3 cavs I think at first while you were maybe developing your heroes.
Absolutely, yeah. So actually I started out thinking I was gonna go mages because it's pretty obvious mages are probably the most substantial unit in team fights, having the AoE and whatnot. But the movement speed, so this actually kind of relates to Season 3. Our battlefields were often really far apart from the enemy, and because I want to be PvPing essentially every day, I didn't want to have to do a 45-minute march with my troops to get all 5 legions to where they needed to be for the battle. So it really came down to movement speed. And then looking more at it, when I realized that the elf faction had ranged calves, I just saw a potential for kiting that wasn't there in the game. So it felt like, okay, I have something here. Maybe I can exploit it a little bit and see, what we can
Definitely.
do on the highest level with it. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
really where it came,
I understand what you're
right?
saying because, like, especially like maybe new players might not understand what you mean, especially when you say like stuff like kiting. So, like, obviously with the ranged cavalry, like a lot of players might not have known they have a short enough range that you can actually like abuse even like infantry players with them, and like you can abuse certain players quite easily for the fact that you can get in really quickly, deal your damage, and get just always move away. So it's kind of like really toxic to deal with if you've got someone who is capable of micromanaging these matches. So I love the fact that you've actually thought of like a reasoning why, and like even I would call it like a League of Legends term, right? Because it is always to do with like League of Legends or even like
Yeah, yeah.
Dota and WoW, where it's like, you have to kite these troops because in those games, similar to this, there's ranged, right? So you have to actually worry about ranged combat. So,
Absolutely.
what was your favorite combo? You know, when you first started going, what was actually like your favorite combo you would go to? What you always wrapped?
That's a tough one. Honestly, it's just running all of them at the same time that makes it so much
Right.
fun. Being able to just ambush people 5 against 1. I get a lot of comments like, "Oh, that wasn't a 1v1, that was a 5v1." But I am just one player, and that's the key of having cabs is you got that speed. You're gonna be catching people out in inopportune positions and stuff like that. So. That's really where the motivation came from,
Yeah,
and
because
what drives it.
it is weird because when you look at like for example like myself and other players obviously trying to use cavalry and even like the flying cavalry units together and stuff, like you normally see obviously some sort of cavalry base, but even with like your units, like you can see even right now is like you've got like a Bakshi Garwood, you're
Yeah.
rocking Husk Nico, and people are probably going to be looking at this like, why the hell are you running Husk Nico with cavalry, right? But
I'll admit, some of these pairings are garbage. The
yeah.
Hoska Nico one is pretty garbage. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty stoked. I'm definitely waiting for the 2 more cabs to come out, and then I'll have at least 5 commanders as the primary hero. But Alistar Eliana, it just works well. I consider that my tanking pair. So anytime I'm about to hit something, I'll let them actually approach first, so that if the
Okay.
if the enemy wants to attack back, they're going to be hitting that pair, and it has just so much defensive power that it's quite tanky. So that's good for taking the hits. The Hosk and the Garwood. So Garwood actually has a skill where every time you heal, you get 75% bonus damage,
Oh,
or something along those lines. And Hosk does have a healing ability, and Hosk is actually also geared towards building him a little bit healthy in terms of health bonuses and stuff like that.
yeah.
So that's where those two pairings come from. But you know, the Craig, the Hosk pairings, those are kind of just cheese builds
Yeah,
to kind of.
just to clarify for people, I know what you was on about there, but you did mean Bakshi for everyone because he was
Sorry,
mentioned in us.
my
But
bad.
we
Yeah,
all know, yeah, it
Bakshi.
was all Bakshi. We all knew what we were pointing towards. But yeah, it makes sense because like even for me, like I'm surprised that you don't even try to use like do you not like the Nika combo with Emrys, for example? Because I know that's a super high like skill damage based Emrys combo, right, for
Yeah,
cavalry.
yeah. I definitely was considering that too. It just turned out that I hadn't made my mind up to go with this particular band of Cav build until a little bit later. So originally I was building out my archers a little bit more than my infantry. Um, and Kanara's skill damage pairs pretty well with Emery's as well too. So it was a bit of a toss up. But what I really wished I did is probably upgraded the skills on Thea. She's actually a pretty good uh, hero with the cavalry, especially when it's awakened. Putting up that shield for 3 of your units, since your units are always tightly packed together, it works out pretty well. But you play with what you get, right?
Yeah, that's it. A lot of people don't realize this, especially when you know they're asking for advice and they're like, you know, what heroes is better, and you just like you just end of the day just gotta work with what you've got. And like I actually kind of like the combos you've got, even though like the probably like you said they're not the greatest, but like the theory crafting of them, because you gotta think like the cavalry units you're using, especially right now, they're the ranged units. So to be honest, the Emrys and Nika combo probably wouldn't work because the Nika is isn't is so close range, but the Kanara
Right.
actually having that medium range allows her being a physical base too to actually fire off the skill behind the Emrys, which is actually quite clever if you think about it. Like when you're just trying to fill out stats. Guess what? As a lot of people don't realize, like a lot of time people are looking at deputies, not just the obviously like the best of the best pick. But okay, what can this pick provide stat wise that actually I do care about, right? And it's cool to
Absolutely.
see that like using Kanara and Goward. Now you mention it, it makes sense exactly what you mean with that Goward healing up with the Bakshi, right? Because the Bakshi triggering that RNG heals to the Goward, empowering you now with the physical damage dealt to actually make that cavalry hit a little bit harder. So I actually love the fact that you're experimenting like myself, trying to figure out bits and bats about the game and actually trying to exploit some bits to do with the cavalry. So would you like to give the guys some top tips from yourself to them how to excel maybe as a cavalry player in the future?
Absolutely. So first thing I want to say is this is definitely a high skill build. You have to be kiting for it to have any viability. And the reason for that is the damage output is actually quite low, and it's because of the characteristics of the unit. So you got to stay light on your feet. If you're going into a 5 Legion versus 5 Legion situation, you can't just go head on and trade hits for hits. You got to be moving around, keep light on your feet. Definitely take advantage of the kiting as much as possible. If the enemy legions target one of your legions, run that one back, forcing them all to move so that you can hit them while they're moving, chasing your one legion. That sort of thing. So you got to play it actively. And I guess the other tip is you might not want to consider going elf faction, because with the other factions you get the cavalry skill, which essentially allows your rage to build up right away. With the elf faction, you don't get that skill, so that's where you're losing a lot of the DPS. Is you're not getting your rage built up right at the beginning when you're rushing in with that cavalry rush skill in particular. So other than that, um, probably add one more tip for you guys. Oh, in terms of building the actual heroes, um, obviously the cavalry wing is most likely going to be your best bet. A lot of people think it's not strong enough, but the point of it is really that first talent is you can get 15% march speed on the first thing, which is giving you the best bang for your buck. And also, what's highly important is the haste after battle ends. So this is what really keeps me at poking range from enemies is anytime I hit them, I run away. I'm actually gaining speed running away. So I can. The name is very fitting. Quick escape. You're gonna want that. You're gonna want to take advantage of that, and that's actually if you pair it with the triumphant return, you're actually healing every time you're going in and out of battle. So it turns out to be a pretty lethal combination in terms of what it can do.
Yeah,
But
man.
in overall, I guess last little bit I'll say is really what you want to be aiming to do, and this is why I haven't really put out a video on talent builds, is because it's going to be very unique to each player depending on what artifacts they have as well too. But you want all of them running generally at the same speed. When you have them all running at the same speed, you're just going to have a lot easier time effectively kiting them, and it's just going to make things work a lot easier as well too. So
Yeah,
that's
I
about it.
understand that. I understand that because one thing, especially for like a lot of viewers that might have watched me, even like going back into my second ever season, when we were even trying to use double mage and archer pairings, the fact that they have different march speeds is so difficult. So you can imagine now when you're actually trying to execute 5 cavalry that needs to basically hit at the same time, otherwise that, like you say, bang for your buck is just lost, right? Because you're trying to take advantage of the early game of the fight, so the cavalry then can actually take advantage of that high burst and keep pushing the fight into your favor, right? So it is really cool to see that you're willing, to give everyone a little bit of tips, and especially thank you for the talent page that you provided. I know a lot of people, like you said, you need to worry about the talent page, right? If you've got different artifacts, don't worry if you've not got the exact same talent page as Pervy Sage here. We've got different talent pages on my own, Discord, and everyone has their own sort of maybe tweaks and just the tiniest point here and there. And you know what? It's like he says, it's all a personal feel, right? You're going to get to a point where you feel like you've got everyone at the same speed, or you've got the same, damage output for everyone, then you're going to be happy, right? So
Absolutely.
thank you very much, honestly, Pervy Sage, for today. You've been a blast, honestly, even though you come and hunt me on the live stream every time.
Gotta keep you interested, right? Gotta keep you interested.
That's the one. But is there anywhere these guys can catch you if you make your own content or anything like that?
Absolutely, yeah. You guys can catch me on YouTube, Pervy Sage dash COD. So you'll see me there. I'm featured in one of Hulkden's video as well. But yeah, I'm not as serious of a YouTuber, not as professional as Sneaky here, but I'll throw some good PvP content on there every once in a while.
There you go, guys. If you want to check him out, I will put his link in the description below, and there will be a little pop-up somewhere random what will appear here. So check Pervy Sage out. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for your time, Sage, like always. And like every video ending, stay safe, stay sneaky, guys, and peace out.